Hello, 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 my beautiful loves, my gorgeous people. Happy Friday. What are you guys doing tonight besides watching me? Everybody's out at dinner, hanging out, drinks. Except for my brother Andre, there he is. I love you, Andresito lindo. Who else is there? Javier, Duran, Carolyn. Hey, my love. Hey, lady. Well, yes, Friday, day 7. Day 7 of my 30-day live challenge. I'm going to stop calling it Facebook Live because I'm doing it on Instagram right after this. So it started out... Hey, Jennifer. Hola, hola. It started out as a Facebook Live challenge. My hair is kind of flat. But then I realized, oh my God, what's up, Carolyn? Talk to us. I'm going to talk to you right now. So I started originally calling it a Facebook Live challenge. Somebody's calling me right now. I should probably shut the ringer off. I am so distracted today. What is going on? All right. So I was calling it the Facebook Live challenge, but I also took it to Instagram. So I'm just calling it my 30-day live challenge. And why am I doing this challenge? I am doing this challenge because it's really freaking uncomfortable. It's really uncomfortable. It's something that I dreaded, I avoided doing for years because I pretended that I was going to get online and do videos. I think the first video that I never shared with anybody, and one day I'm going to share them, I promise you. The first video was freaking back in like 2012. Let's say 2012, 2013. And I never shared it. And so I've been working up since then to do this. And finally I was like, fuck this shit. I need to rip the Band-Aid off. I need to get over myself. I need to start telling people what I do. I need to start telling you all how I can serve you. And with that, let me just tell you, my name is Brenda Ramos. Most of you know that already, but just in case you don't. I'm a transformational growth coach. I'm a Reiki master, and I'm a divine feminine embodiment leader. What else? I'm so many other things, but those are the 3 things that I'm choosing to focus on right now with these lives. And why am I doing this? To share personal stories, to share tips and tricks, to share life hacks, to share just my thoughts on life, love, and the pursuit of happiness. Pretty literally. And today, I want to talk to you about fear. Fear. A little tiny word and a huge reaction to the word, right? Fear. We all experience fear. We have experienced fear throughout our lives. And I've found that we usually have, there are multiple reactions to fear. Several. But I want to talk to you today about 3 reactions to fear. And I'll share a couple of personal stories. So the first, that throughout our lives, every now and then, or often, we get to a point where we have to do something that is different, that is out of the ordinary, or something happens to us that scares the shit out of us. By the way, if you guys don't know, I love you. I curse, and I'm not gonna stop cursing. So I will be dropping F-bombs and shits and fucks and all this good stuff. So, fear. there comes a time in everyone's life where something happens that scares the shit out of us. It can be the loss of a loved one. It can be the transition from one way of living to another. Like, say you were married and then you get divorced, or you had a job and you lost your job, or you were single and then you got married, or you were not a parent and then you became a parent. So these are all transitions that will bring up some intense fear for us. And you can either, what I understand of it, or my experience with fear, is that you can overinflate. And what does that mean? Your personality in the face of fear will become grand. You'll have a larger than life outlook. You'll be like, nothing is wrong. I'm on top of the world. Ain't no thing. I'm living my life. And you're not facing what is actually happening under the surface of this big personality. You think that you're being positive. You think that you're just chipping away at life and moving on and keep it moving. And you might be doing that, but you're not taking a look at what's happening under the surface of this big personality, which is fear, which is self-doubt, some negative self-talk, some insecurities are bubbling up, right? So all of those things are based on fear. And for me, when fear arises, it kind of hits me right in the solar plexus. Recognizing insecurity. Yes. Oh my goodness. Yes, Carolyn. Recognizing where fear hits you in your body is really important. So it hits me in my solar plexus. Sometimes you feel a tightening of your throat, a tightening of your chest. Sometimes you can't control your thoughts. Sometimes even my lower back starts to really ache if I'm not facing my fears. So the first reaction is an overinflation of the ego, an overinflation of this personality. You're not dealing with what's truly happening beneath the layer. And the reason that it's important, I left my hand on my lower back just for support. The reason that it's important to deal with, to process, to look at what is underneath this larger than life personality or this overinflated ego is because you are not processing what is truly affecting you in your life. So if you're not processing, it will cycle back around and punch you when you least expect it. When you think things are awesome and you think things are no longer bothering you, boom. That's when they circle back around and hit you in your face again. So it's super important to look at what's beneath this. I'm going out. I'm going to hang with the girls. I'm going to go out with my boys. I'm not going to give a fuck. I'm going to do me. So this overinflation of the ego or personality. Take a look at that. Start to ask yourself questions like, okay, am I meditating? We've gone through meditation, meditation practice. Are you able to sit still with yourself and focus on your breath? Have you been able to do that, or are you ignoring it? Are you not facing what the emotions that are coming up for you? And why? Why aren't you facing them? Do you have anyone around you who can support you through this process? So those are a couple of questions that you can ask yourself when you find that you are pushing through, staying positive, and avoiding avoiding what's really happening beneath the surface, the fear that you are experiencing. Another possible reaction to fear is collapsing into fear. So what does that look like? For me, it looked like, well, I'll give you a personal story. I broke off an engagement. It's going to be probably 2 years ago. And it put me in a place of deep sadness, deep insecurity, deep self-doubt. I just didn't know. I was really fucking hurt and disappointed with myself because of certain situations. Because of how I allowed myself to be in that relationship. And it brought up some serious stuff, intense fear of who I was going to be after that, where I was going to go in my life, how I was going to make it, how I was going to get by in different areas of my life, you know, financially, emotionally, physically even. So I collapsed into this fear. So collapsing can look like depression. Collapsing into fear can look like self-pity sometimes. It can look like being a victim of your circumstances. And here's the thing that I want you to know. Here's the thing that is incredibly important for you to know about collapsing into fear. The fact that you collapse into fear is okay. Collapsing into fear is part of the healing process. It's actually, I think, one of the first steps to healing yourself after a major life transition. So you want to allow this time. You want to feel your feelings. You want to look at what you're experiencing. You want to face your emotions. You want to question where they're coming from. You don't want to stay there. Okay, so fear, great place to visit, great place to process and heal and examine yourself, examine beliefs, examine old thought patterns, examine old ways of being, so that you can release them and move forward. Okay, and that's actually the third reaction. The third reaction to fear is, instead of becoming overinflated, instead of collapsing and still not dealing with what's happening, the third reaction or third response is turning around and, instead of running from your fears, facing them head on. I spoke to you the first or second video about this incubation period that I went through for the past few months. I've been a life coach now for 4 years. And the past several months, I kind of dialed back my practice so that it wasn't working the way that I had intended it to. It wasn't working the way that I visualized it would. And so it brought up these really scary thoughts about myself, about my future, about all sorts of things for me. And what I decided to do was what I call a deep dive. A deep dive into the darkest parts of my mind and soul, and ask myself, what was I getting from being here? What was my business not working out bringing up for me? Who did I believe I was if it didn't work out? Why was I attached to a specific outcome, and what was the outcome that I was attached to, and what did it mean for the outcome to not happen. For me, essentially, to be a failure in my own eyes. Failure is another topic that we're gonna talk about one of these days. We got 30 days. That's a long time. So I really took a deep dive into the depths of my mind and my soul, and I asked myself these very important questions about who I thought I was, who I want to be, how I want to feel in this world, what I was getting from being in that deep dive, what I was getting from being in struggle, and what I was getting from suffering. So instead of overinflating and not dealing with these scary questions and these thoughts about myself and these beliefs about myself, or instead of collapsing into a depression and not allowing myself just the energy to get up and move and still find some humor and playfulness in all of this, I turned around and I looked at my fear in its fucking eyes and I said, what the fuck do you want from me? What do you want from me? Why are you here? What do we have to accomplish together? What are you trying to tell me? I mean, I really got intense with my fear. And I'm sharing this now with you so that you know, so that you recognize when you're in these responses or reactions to fear, and you know what to do. So when you are in an overinflated, louder than life place, dial it back. Just a moment. Dial it back and say, and ask yourself questions. Sit with yourself and ask yourself questions. I'm a huge fan of journaling. So you take these questions and write them down. I know women are more apt to journal than men, but fellas, you need to step up your game, because it's time for you to start getting in touch with the emotions that you have as men, as strong, gorgeous, beautiful men who have maybe haven't been allowed to express emotions in this way. Dude, pick up a black and white notebook from your local pharmacy and put that shit down on paper. If you have no one to talk to, especially. And here's where I'm going to talk about therapy. I am in therapy. I'm a fan of therapy. In and out for a long time. And it's so helpful to have someone who is completely outside of my circle, completely outside of my circle of friends and my family, to give me an objective perspective. So there ain't nothing wrong with getting yourself out to see a therapist. Talk therapy is incredibly helpful. So stop, pause, take a look at what is happening with you. Do not run from your fear. Women and men need to do this. When you feel yourself collapsing, when you feel yourself going into a deep dive, when you feel yourself being pulled into a depression, now here's a disclaimer. When I talk about this depression, I am not talking about a diagnosed imbalance, chemical imbalance in the brain. Okay, I'm just talking about the more common symptoms of depression, which are not physical, but emotional, an emotional drain on your soul, sadness, not being able to talk about what's happening, not being able to stop crying, not being able to get out of bed. Okay, so I'm talking about the emotional symptoms, not the chemical imbalance that needs to be diagnosed by a professional. So when you feel yourself collapsing into depression or into this deep dive is what I call it, is the time to ask yourself, what's going on? Where are you in this moment? What are you getting from being in this deep dive? Who are you when you are in this deep dive? Who are you when you are in this overinflated personality place? Okay? These are the moments where you get to know yourselves better and better and better. Okay? These are the moments where you give yourself permission to be in touch with your true selves. And this is what I'm here for. I help people through this process with the ultimate goal of forward movement, because coaching is about forward movement. So there you have it, my loves. Fear is real. Fear brings up real emotions, real thoughts, real everything, feelings, emotions, thoughts, so that you can face them, so that you can ask yourself questions, so that you can get to know yourself on a much deeper level, and then live your life from a more authentic place based on what you know. That's it. I love you. Please reach out to me. Thank you for being here. Thank you so much. Go out. It's Friday. Grab a drink, grab a tea, grab a coffee, go meditate. And I'm going to see you here tomorrow, day 7. Do I have any announcements? Yes, as a matter of fact. Beautiful, fierce goddess warriors of my life. You know, I have this Divine Feminine Embodiment movement and coaching program coming up May 5th. And I am dropping a crazy early bird special that you can have it, that you can get the 6-week program for half off. So I'm going to be dropping that either tonight or tomorrow. Please stay tuned. I'm going to go over to Instagram and do my thing there. I love you. Have a wonderful night. And yeah, we'll talk tomorrow, day 7. I look forward to it. Bye.